Double intro. Awesome.
Hello, and welcome to.
Hey, we like your pod so much we heard the song 1.5 times.
Oh, I was just trying something new.
Yeah, no,
and
there it is. Yeah.
We like your pod, and we're gonna tell you why. Hi, it's Dawn here, and I'm joined as always by my trusted partner, Matt Pickett. How you doing, Maddie?
I'm great. I'm great. We have gotten the Girl Scout cookies out to the people who need them, with very few exceptions. Almost just a couple last ones, but they're more like not ones I need to hand out, just ones people have to come and get. So, like, that's exciting to have that kind of just about wrapped up.
Nice.
And yeah, I had kind of a good day. Nothing like really like stand outy, but just kind of a fun day at work today, and just feeling good. So, how about you, Don? How you doing?
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I'm feeling remarkably calm and even, which is rare for me. I mean, I'm I'm feeling very calm and content. Very content.
Those are two good things to combine together. There you go, Brian. Cued you up. For
Hi, Brian.
Did someone say combine? Yeah, so I did, so I could throw that up there for you.
We said combine. Hi, Brian. Yes, so exciting. So I can't wait to hear what content you have consumed this week. And I can't wait to tell you all about the best of the content I consumed this week. So much.
Okay, wait, hold on. Okay, I'm gonna stop you there.
The combine.
I was gonna say, I felt like there was less content than I expected there would be. After the combine, I thought I'd see more stuff relating directly to it. I did find one thing that really intrigued me about it, which we'll get to, but I kind of felt like there should be more stuff out there this week. There should be more stuff.
Yeah.
But a lot of the free agency stuff is really exciting right now. Tell me, Don, what are you excited about free agency?
Well, I'm just excited that I'm not behind, like that I'm up. I'm getting up on what the free agency candidates might be, that the Packers might be interested. So it's not it, because a lot of times I think I'm growing as a fan. I'm learning more every year, right? And so that's why I'm super happy. Is I'll be like all excited about the draft, the combine, let's get the draft going, let's get the mock draft, all that stuff. And then it's like, oh wait, free agents. So this year it's not going to be, oh wait, free agents. I'm prepared. And I think that I noticed the same thing. I was going to consume a whole ton about the combine. In fact, play a lot of it back. I listened to a couple of really long trials the last month. So those are done. And I was all ready to dig in. And yeah, I felt the same way. People just have moved right on to free agency. And I even noticed that some of our favorite Kyle Fellows and Andrew Mertig, who are at least I shouldn't say our favorite, but my favorites for this time of year, all times of year, but this time of year especially, they both said that they didn't actually watch the whole thing like they normally do. So I wonder what that, and maybe people are just, I don't know. What do you think? Why is that?
Yeah, I think part of it is that the NFL trying to turn the combine into something that can generate like viewership kind of ruined some of the better and more important parts of it. Like very few of the players relative to previous years did the agility drills, which is actually something that the Packers base a lot of their thresholds on, especially the 3-cone. And like the sort of what's the word, like not retort isn't the word, but like the sort of reply to that, I guess, is like, no, the Packers have the information they need. This is just one time to measure it, but like they've got their data. Don't worry about that. But felt like a weird year, watching it
Mhm,
from the outside because it was
mhm.
like, we're gonna try to like put all the sexy stuff,
Yeah,
the 30 or the 40, whatever. Wait, it's 30 or 40. What do they run? The small number of
40.
yards. Thank you. My brain just totally like blipped on that 40-yard dash. Like we're gonna televise that, and we're gonna like do some throwing drills, and like there's a lot of other stuff going on that it seems like because they didn't prioritize it in the way how they scheduled things, we didn't hear stuff coming out about it because a lot of players didn't do it. It was weird. It was
Right,
weird.
right, right. That there
Um,
was that.
but there's
Yeah.
still a lot of good, like, hearing from reporters and, content creators who are there is always really
Mhm.
interesting. And, I always feel really jealous, like people kind of hanging out in Indy and going to steakhouses and, seeing,
Mhm.
seeing, players just like walking down the street and stuff like that. That just makes me super jealous. But, yeah, yeah, it was weird. It felt different than before for sure.
Yeah, maybe more of a show than a actual function. The
Yeah.
functionality wasn't his priority.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I felt
more
like that
yeah,
relatively. Yeah.
yeah, okay, that makes sense, that makes sense. Well, my excuse was just that I was so, trying to watch these listen to these trials,
Hmm.
and I did some spring cleaning. I, cleaned out my closet. It took, 6.5 straight hours on Sunday, and then some more time yesterday. I went back to it and did, like, the color coordination and the fine tune. I get really upset if my hangers aren't the exact right hangers for each thing too, so I just did all the fine tuning, like, did I miss any wrong hang? And I did. I had some gray where they were supposed to be black, black where they're supposed to be gray, you know, the hangers, and just certain things that will drive me completely mad. So, but I was able to listen to lots of content while I did that, which was
Hmm.
great. It was
That's
just really
nice.
great. Yeah. In fact, I binged the entire Monday Mock Monday series with Ross, and which is now daily, which is probably one of my superlatives, but oh well. Um, it was like, wow, I learned so much just listening to him go through these players and his mock drafts and his reasoning and
Hmm.
what the Packers will do, not what he would do
Right.
necessarily, but
Right.
what the Packers will do, which is why we really love our Packers content creators helping us out with all this. So, yeah, so it's been fun. Speaking of the 40-yard dash, yesterday I was late for a train. Surprise, surprise. I was just making it on time after one appointment, and I had another one to get to, so it was important that I got it. And I did a 40-yard dash basically, and it's like this area. It wasn't here, it's this area in Encinitas that's super steep. Like the incline, I don't know what the degrees are, but there's a race there every year, and
Hmm.
it's like stair climbing. It's really steep, and I had to go down it. It's so steep that you feel like you're gonna fall forward. And I had to run because it's like, there's the train. And I had
Hmm.
to get across the street, and people must have seen me coming because like all the cars, in fact, a bus even stopped for me. He's like, go ahead, go ahead. It was really cute. But I was so impressed with myself because I haven't run or really been in shape for a couple of years. And it got me super motivated. Like maybe instead of doing half marathons and 10 milers and all that, maybe I should just focus on the 3 milers and just getting faster
Mm.
and short runs. And I kept thinking about those 40-yard dashes, and I'm like, I wonder how fast I could do a 40-yard.
4.8 seconds, right? You totally could have. If you're going downhill, you have the momentum. You
I
have
know.
gravity working with you, not against you. So yeah, 4.8 seconds. Totally, you
I
could do
felt like
that.
I was really moving. I felt like I was moving. I'm pretty sore today. I mean, I feel it. I really feel it, but I mean, it took everything I had to run like that.
Hmm.
So that was fun. Anyway, I mixed up the combine and cleaning my closets and 40-yard dash and all that. But did you remember when you were a kid doing it was a 50-yard dash and a 100-yard dash, right?
Like in gym class.
Yeah, and then did you guys do the what was it called? the presidential thing every year.
Yeah, the presidential fitness challenge that was started with like JFK or something, and
Yeah,
like
yeah,
people still
yeah.
do. Yeah, no, totally. I was a, and this has not changed, deeply unathletic kid, and just so I was like the tallest kid in my grade for a very long time, like, and so
Oh.
I did not have the coordination because I was too like awkward and gawky, you know.
Mm.
So I was just uncoordinated, slow, not last kid picked for dodgeball, that kind of a thing, you know.
Oh, wow.
Um,
Okay.
so yeah, I was terrible at this. I hated it when they're like, "All right, kids, it's the mile run." It's like I can't run for a mile, you know, like fifth grade Matt. Like, no, I mean, most of the kids were like wheezing by the end of it, but our gym teacher would say like if we didn't have it in a certain time, she'd make us do it again, and it was
Oh.
torture. So you'd be like, I can't go slow. I need to keep moving, but even my lungs are burning. You know, it was rough.
Wow.
Out there on the blacktop, you know, the sort of like
Oh, yeah.
painted you know, track that was out on the bus parking lot. Yeah, it was it was
Yeah,
brutal.
that's serious. That's serious. Yeah, when I was doing races, not that like seriously did races, but
Mhm,
the other people did that were way up in front. But the it's on the street. And so the streets that were blacktopped,
mhm,
I mean, the concrete gets hot anyway
sure.
because the sun here is just brutal. And even if it's morning, by the time I would finish, it would be late morning. It wasn't like I was zipping through really super fast. So the concrete, the radiant heat from the ground would make it like your feet were hot, like
Mm.
shoes would get hot, and you could feel like 120 degrees furnace coming up on you. So, yeah, blacktop, not the smartest thing to run on if you can help it.
Well, you know, Don, you make me think of we had a summer marching band program. I've probably mentioned before in the show at some point in the school where I went, and so our rehearsals in the summer for hours and hours were like on the like in the parking lot at school. And that's say nothing of doing parades in the summer with full on like winter marching
Right,
band gear, you know, like full wool, you know, heavy
right.
outfits and hats, and you know, marching on the street, and it's, you know, 90
I
degrees, and
know.
oof,
How did you
that's
do
rough.
that? I
I
know.
mean, we had to, and I was young and we were hydrated, so
Right, right, right. I had friends who did that, and I'd go visit them, like, when they were setting up or after,
mhm,
and it would be like the hats and all that was
mhm,
just like, "That is no way, I'm not interested in doing that." Like,
yeah.
that's insane. I would fall apart. I'd fall apart in, like, the first 15 minutes. I'm
Couldn't do
not
it
very
now.
strong.
Yeah, that's actually the fittest I've ever been physically was, like, doing summer marching band because, like, it was a workout every day, you know? I was, like, svelte.
Nice. I bet, I bet. I bet you were.
Gone is my youth now. That's,
Well, very good. So so that's what we're here for, to talk about the content we, consumed. I'm
that's
so
what we're
glad.
here for, talking about getting sweaty on blacktop. That's the show's theme.
And all kinds of stuff. I did consume a lot of trial content.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm disappointed. Maybe that's why I'm so subdued today. I'm a little more subdued than usual. There was a trial that probably a lot of people heard about. It was for the armorer for the movie, the Rust movie, where there was a accidental shooting. It was Alec Baldwin's movie.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so they tried the armorer this last week or the last 2 weeks, and then, they're trying Alec Baldwin in this summer, in a few months. So, I really was I I'm really disappointed. I don't I mean, there's certain things about the law, I'm not gonna go into all of that, but basically, for her to be tried criminally, it was for, manslaughter, and it was for, but people people in the chats and people talking about it were all down on her. And she's 24 years old. I think she was 22 when this happened.
Mhm.
And it was like her second job
Mhm.
in the industry.
Yeah.
and okay, maybe she was negligent. Maybe she was in over her head. Maybe she was getting pushed around. There were a lot of bad things that were going on. But what the trial showed was that a lot of people were involved in for this to have happened. And
Mhm.
she by no means allowed or intentionally brought live ammunition. That somehow
Right.
they still haven't figured out, where did the live ammunition come from? Right. And all these people that testified made all these backroom deals so that they didn't get charged.
Mm.
And I thought for sure that the jury would see through that and see that, okay, sure, negligence, but not willful. Because
Right.
the way the law is written, it has to be willful and willful disregard. And there's no way she will. I mean, she was probably the most upset about what happened than anybody in terms of humanity.
Mhm.
Um, it wasn't willful. There's no way. And they found her guilty and she's in jail. On top of that, they had the ability, the judge could have let her stay out until she got sentenced, which is like takes 2 months. Stuck her right in jail. I mean, I'm just kind of horrified about that, because it just show and the prosecutor was super flippant and unprofessional, and I'm not used to
Mm.
that either, and that made it worse. It made it harder to take. She was laughing and smirking, and it was just scary, like scary that could happen to a 22 or 24-year-old.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, anyway, why am I blabbing on about that? Oh, that's why I'm subdued.
That's what it was. Bringing it back to that.
A lot of content, true crime. It's not really true crime. I guess it's true crime, but trial watching would be more accurate
Yeah.
thing.
Well, so we kind
And
of bounced away from free agency stuff, right? It's kind of
and
like,
then I submerged myself in the combine and the free agency. So I
yeah.
shifted gears.
So
Yeah.
like, what are your thoughts on like the Packers and free agency right now? Like, where's your head at with that?
Well, it'd be really nice if they could pick up a good safety
Hmm.
veteran, not too
Hmm.
old, but somebody who's has a couple of years experience, and draft one. Draft one or two.
Or 2 and 2, maybe get
Yeah.
4 total. Because
Right.
yeah, that's where I'm going with this too. Is that
Yeah.
it's been funny because like every day it feels like there's a new veteran safety who is released by their team, and
Mhm.
all the talk out there, of course, is that the safeties in the draft are kind of a weak class, and maybe for the
Sure.
second or third year in a row. But all these like really talented safeties are getting let go, and it seems like buyer's market maybe if we're lucky, but we've freed up some cap space. Gutekunst, I should say really more, Russ Ball has like pulled some levers to give us some space. So I'm excited, when free agency starts, to see who we pick up, because like it seems like a given at this point. Like, it's got to be the case that we're going to get at least one safety in the free agency, and I can't wait. I am excited for that.
I am so excited, and this is the only year, and I'm still feeling it, that I'm not super like, oh, there's not a game. When's
Hmm.
football gonna start? I'm just really happy with this process that we're going through, and building this team for next year. I'm just so excited about that. And
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah, 4 safeties would be great. 4 of everything.
There you go, 4 of everything. That's right.
But yeah, and I really loved, and I don't think this is in my superlatives, but I'd say Andy Herman has the best primer on it's like a 41-minute podcast that he did just on the free agency safeties.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a good
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
It's really good, and I listened to it probably 1.5 times ish, if not twice. Yeah, just because he speaks kind of quickly, so I wanted to absorb what he was saying and just all the intricacies. But I mean, we don't have to get the number 1 or number 2. They're $20 million for 4 years or whatever. I don't think we're gonna get into a contract like that. I think we're gonna get I'm sure the scouts will know what to do, but we're gonna get the one that makes the most sense for the team.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a situation where like I definitely trust Gutekunst to make the best possible move that we can,
Mhm.
without breaking the bank because he never really does.
Mhm.
Yeah, I trust him. Put that way,
Yeah,
in Goot we trust.
in
So
Goat We Trust. Yeah, and it doesn't have to be, like, the biggest name because
right.
sometimes everyone gets really excited about that, but that's not necessarily where it's at.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I agree. Yep.
So let's roll on into our superlatives. Hey.
Hey,
I might have sort of touched on one of them, but you go ahead and start since I
oh,
sort of already did, if you don't mind.
I do not mind, of course. So, one of the favorite things I saw this week was a chart that was in a tweet. It's kind of like one of those unheralded. This could be an article, this could be a podcast, but it was just a chart in a tweet. And what it was all of the players in the top 140, like the top 149 consensus big board draft players, right?
Okay.
Who, after the measurements in the combine, still meet the Packers thresholds.
Mhm.
So that was really fascinating. That's exactly what I wanted to hear about coming out of the combine. Like, okay, how does this
Right.
change what we know? And this is where I found it, was in this one chart. And so this was a tweet from Archon 14, I believe is the number. Yeah, Archon 14. Archon is a dude who is mentioned a lot on the Acme Packing Company podcasts because he's like very active in their APC Slack chat, and he writes for the website sometimes. I think he's even shown up on other podcasts sometimes. You'll hear them mention Archon a lot. And like very fascinating Twitter follow. I'd highly recommend at Archon 14. Would love to talk to him someday, maybe have him on the show or something.
Yeah.
But it was just like it was all crystallized there right into this one little chart, you know, just to
Yeah.
see like who's still hitting the thresholds. It was everything I wanted post combine right there. And I was like, there it is.
Ooh.
There it is.
Oh,
Perfect.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. That's good. I will check that out. Archon 14 doesn't sound familiar, but a lot of times the ats don't sound familiar. Like
Right.
I'll
Yeah.
start looking and it's like, oh yeah, yeah, I follow that
Yeah.
person.
And that's
Yeah.
RCON 14 Archon.
Yep.
Yep.
Awesome. Ooh, I like it. I like charts.
I
I
know,
like
right?
charts,
Like chips.
spreadsheets.
That's right. What do you got for your first one, Don?
Can I tell you something? I'm going to
Yeah.
digress really quick and
No,
just
by all
maybe
means.
think of something else because you and I both love spreadsheets, right?
So much.
And I was listening. I occasionally, for a long time, I've popped in and out of a podcast called The Murder Sheet.
Okay.
Never dawned on me what the name was. And I don't usually listen to the podcast. I see them a lot of times interviewed or I see them on YouTube. And so you don't get the intro.
Mhm.
Well, their intro explains that it's a journalist and a lawyer, and they met because they were covering all like a rash of murders in Burger Kings or something like that. It's some weird thing.
What?
And yeah, I know. I don't know anything about that, but they put together a spreadsheet,
Mhm.
and they were able to connect all kinds of different murders and la la la. But anyway, that's where murder sheet comes from. It's actually it's a Google worksheet.
I love that.
I know. I'm like, oh, that was the spreadsheet. I love these people already. So yeah. Okay. So I'm just gonna go over one that I kind of touched on.
Yeah.
Just most dedicated. Okay. Most dedicated is the designation, and this is Monday draft, and they're going daily draft, and this is Ross Uglum and company on
Mhm.
Pack a Day, and of course me. I'm also dedicated because I listen to every single episode to bring me up to date because I really
Mhm.
wanted to, as I did my spring cleaning in my closets. But the amount of work that they have put in, because I couldn't even finish like in that 6.5 hour binge closet
Mhm.
thing that I did. I wasn't even quite done.
Yeah.
And then I got up to date. And now they're daily. That's Ross Uglum, and he does a great job. And he makes it really enjoyable too. And he tells you when he's talking, oh, this is the love of my life draft pick, which I love that. But also this is not what the Packers would do, or this is what the Packers would, fits their profile and how they do things. So he makes it very clear of what you're getting. So it's not all just goobly gopped in your head. I mean,
Mhm.
I could pay attention and absorb it while organizing my closet. So it's that good.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? So like every week I've been trying to like highlight a different
Mhm.
draft content thing. And I
Nice.
don't know if you remember, I've actually mentioned Ross's series last week. So like
Right.
totally on board. I love that.
Mhm.
Um and he's doing such a good job that if I didn't want to like try to spread the love around, I could just talk about his stuff every week because he is just crushing it with that. Like every episode is
He is.
fascinating, brings a player to like life, you like get to understand them a lot better. And
Mhm.
yeah, that perspective about like would the Packers, jump, to get this guy. Um,
Right.
yeah. Ross is amazing at that. Yeah, it's
It
so good.
was so good. Yeah, and I'm glad you did highlight it because it was on then I put it on my list
Hmm.
among 600,000 other things, but I got to it and I was so happy. And then now they're going daily until the draft. That's pretty cool too. So,
Hmm.
yeah, he's doing a great job. So, most dedicated goes to Ross and myself.
Love that. All right. So for my next one.
Yes.
All right. My next one is so the last one is most helpful stats. I don't know if I actually said the name of that superlative. This one is most fascinating stats. Big week for stats makes sense coming out of the combine. There's a lot of stats flying around. But anyhow, this one is an article that our friend Paul Noonan wrote, and it's called The Insanity of Jordan Love and the Success of the Toolsy Quarterback.
Ooh,
So this was a really interesting read. I mean, it's one of those articles where you get a chance to kind of like almost peek inside of Paul's brain and how it functions. Kind of like see what how do things come together for him? Because what he did was he took a look at I think like the last 79 quarterbacks that were drafted and like put it in order of their highest completion percentage, their best year in college, and just like straight down, in order. Because the premise is that traditionally one of the best ways to assess if a college quarterback will be good in the pros is their completion percentage while they're playing or like for their best year at least. And that's like long been a very standard metric for people who like look into that kind of stuff, look at the analytics. But the thing is there are a slew of really good quarterbacks who had very relatively low completion percentages, including Jordan Love. So this was a thing that if for those who have been listening to reporting is eligible regularly for a while now, will know that Paul was really surprised at the very sudden and dramatic improvement that Jordan Love made this season because he didn't project it would be like that given how he compares to other people statistically close to him. Looking at the analytics and whatnot, and so part of the article is like here's why almost like here's why I didn't think he would be as good as he is. Like it's almost like a
yeah,
subtext. That is how I read it.
yeah.
And here's what we can glean from it and see like are there other players like this? It's super uncommon actually for these reasons. But just kind of digging
Mhm.
into like this, one way to evaluate a college quarterback, why it wasn't as effective for Jordan Love and some other quarterbacks like that, including like Josh Allen, for example. I think Lamar Jackson was one of the ones he mentioned too. So like some really, really good quarterbacks, some of our best ones. And all this ultimately was coming down to the point of like, and you might think then like that Drake May is going to be, an amazing quarterback based on some of these things, but like for these reasons, like, Paul is wary about him actually being remotely as good as people are projecting him to be. So that's of course very contrary. It's a counterpoint, I guess, to the draft industrial complex right now saying, Drake May pick number 2 off the board. It's what it's going to be. He's the second one. It's going to be number 2. And, Paul's going to say, I don't know, guys, you might want to evaluate that a bit differently, especially because the kind of development he's going to need
Right.
won't be given to him by the teams he'll probably be drafted by. So he has a good chance of like, if he
Right.
went to a team that could sit him and let him develop for a little bit, he could be amazing, but he's probably
Sure.
not going to. So there's a good
No.
chance he'll be a bust just because of like the situation and what he
Mm.
needs and won't be able to get from the teams that are likely to draft him. So really interesting read. Lots of data to kind of like, dig into there. Lots of interesting perspectives. So great work from Paul, as always.
Yay, Paul. That is interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Are there any other teams that actually develop their players before throwing them out on the field?
um almost like
ups.
accidentally sometimes. A lot of teams, like if they pick up somebody who they're taking like a flyer on a quarterback, they have to sit, then their starter gets injured in the first season, and the guy steps in
Right,
and it's kind of good, so they've had like a seat, like a half a season to develop or whatever.
right.
Patrick Mahomes sat for almost a whole year, I think, right behind Alex Smith.
Okay, that's
um
true.
I don't know the exact timeline, but it's like roughly a year-ish. So a little bit of sitting. Yeah, but like the Packers, they do, that's extremely rare.
Yeah, and especially 3 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
extremely rare. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Justin Herbert was gonna sit for a while, but then he was thrust into the onto the field like in the second game of his first year out
Yeah.
there. So yeah,
Yeah.
but I don't think they would have sat him for 3 years
Probably
either.
not. No, yeah, because
No, maybe
that's hard
one.
when you have an owner who wants
Mm,
to see results. You can't
right.
just bring in a quarterback and let him sit, and develop,
Mhm.
because uh that's going to look bad to spend draft capital on that and not have it on the field.
Mhm.
That's how coaches lose their jobs.
Mhm.
So, but
Mhm.
we're the owners of the Packers, so works different.
I will say it's not in my superlatives, but I did finally listen to the NFLPA review. That was Dan Kochnick, Monty, and not Camille. Is it Camille?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Monet.
Camille.
Yeah.
Camille Monet. Yes.
That was a good one. That was a good episode.
That was funny. It was
Hmm.
so funny, but the players report cards on their teams and the Green Bay Packers getting a good grade for their owners
Hmm.
was kind of fun. Lots of other really fun stuff also.
Yeah.
Evidently, Camille does not know I am the Packers glamma, so if she needs some glamma energy, I'll have to send her a note, let her know I'm
There you go.
available for
Yeah, that
glamma
is
things.
an outstanding trio for Pack a Day.
Oh,
I've been enjoying
yes.
their episodes.
Yes. Yes, and I listened to her on the books, the Pack Locked On Books
Hmm.
too.
She's amazing. Like, what a great,
Yeah.
what a great get for Pack a Day. She's so smart.
Yes, really good, really good. Okay, so my second is Best Condensed, and that goes to Maggie, Kyle, and Andrew. I think did I mention that already? Yeah. So, but they did a condensed version of their combine takeaways, and then also their the free agent safeties.
Mm. I didn't hear this one. Tell me more about it.
It was really good. Well, I'm not going to tell you too much because
Okay.
really best to hear them. But
Yeah.
it's certainly just fun to they're my they're just such a great trio to talk about draft stuff, and they're really into it.
Hmm.
But I really liked their discussion and how they reasoned through the not just the combine takeaways, but the free agent safeties too. So it was a really good compliment to Andrew and D. Herman's. So, but it was also just refreshing and fun to hear the 3 of them because I've kind of slipped on I don't know, I move around. I shouldn't say I slip,
Sure.
but
No,
I
yeah.
pop around. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Haven't
you
heard them for a while.
totally understand that. Yeah. It's like you have to try to feel like you're kind of like
Yeah.
it's like
Just so much.
visiting relatives, kind of like going through rotation of seeing them, or like calling friends, or like, yeah, you want to
Yes.
make sure you kind of get around to all of them over time. And
Good analogy, visiting all the relatives when you're in town.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, making the rounds. You gotta make the rounds.
Crazy Uncle Andrew Mertig. That's right.
Who will be a guest on our show before the draft at
That's
some point.
right.
True, right?
Exciting.
Yeah. So that was great. And I think they just called it combine takeaways. But yeah, it was kind of a
Hmm.
condensed version, and it was very nice. I think I'm still going to just replay the combine just to
Hmm.
hear
Hmm.
it. I probably won't be able to like sit and watch the whole thing, but
Right.
I'll probably replay it to hear what is being said and the
Hmm.
numbers and that kind of thing, and I can run to the screen when I need to and all that. Yeah, I will.
Quick side shout out to Andy Herman, not just for like the grind he puts in, the work he does with daily content and all that, but when you think about it, part of what has made the Pack a Day podcast so good is his ability to match people really, really well to make effective groups. Because I mean, he's the one masterminding it. He's the one who's like putting the groups together. I've commented to him before, like, messaged him on Teams. Whoa, that's what I swim in at work. No, just kidding. On Twitter. Well, that was weird.
On Twitter.
Yeah, message him on Twitter. Like there was one time when he changed like a couple of groups up, and I noticed that like one of the new groups was like especially good and kind of like fixed kind of a weirdness with one of the old groups. I won't go into the details, but it said, "Hey, I noticed you did this. I noticed that this was better for these reasons." He was like, "It wasn't by accident." I was like, "Ah, yes, exactly." He's doing that very intentionally, very deliberately, and really smartly too. So
Yeah, and by the way, all 3 of my superlatives tonight are from Packet A.
oh, how about that?
They happen to be. But what I was thinking about that same thing, and it's that human resources background he has, I think,
Exactly.
and he brings that to the free agents analysis that he did too. I was like, this sounds like somebody who knows a bit about personnel and staffing
Mhm.
and how to read people and what. Yeah,
And
so.
recognizing talent is a big part of it.
Mhm, 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 and if there's gonna be synergy with the other players and the
Yes.
team and all that, yeah, and
Yes.
it's gonna work with these coaches. So, yeah, I really love his, analysis for that reason, especially this time of year.
For sure. Whose turn is it?
Mm, I th I don't know,
I think it's yours. Yeah,
is it
yeah.
my turn? Okay, so didn't I just do best condensed?
I did too. Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay, so was that your third one? I don't I'm first. Okay, my goodness, Dawn.
It's okay, I can go.
I have one more. I'll
I
go
do
ahead.
too,
You
I
did
do
just do
too.
one. You're right. Okay, so
Okay, thank you. I'm not crazy.
woof. Anyhow, no, that's me this week. That was me. That was me. Okay, so my third and final superlative, as promised, another best draft content one. This was a fun one, Dawn. You may have heard it already. This week, our friend Sarah Kelleher from the Wednesday Pack a Day was a guest on Ohana Packers Edition, which of course is Joe Pearson and Mike Kawano's show they do, which is part of their website, which has a lot of great articles that are being written for it.
Mhm.
Miranda, who we had on recently, writes for them, and Joe and Mike does amazing stuff for them, and there's other folks too writing. And point being, amazing website, amazing podcast. This week, Sarah guested with them, and I loved it because they're breaking down like the different running backs in the draft. And for someone like if you're reading an article breaking down the running backs, it's gonna be more like kind of stats with some like interpolation of opinion and some takes on it, right? But what I loved about this is it's just 3 people who like know ball really well, just kind of talking about it. It's just a discussion over like, well, this is what I like about these guys, and like kind of this is my draft crush. This is the guy I hope we don't take. It felt just more like organic and not like a reporting on something. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
Um, and I mean, I like all 3 of those, people so much.
Yes.
Joe and Mike and Sarah are amazing, wonderful human
Yes.
beings, and so just like listening in on their conversation, it's just a joy. So that was a lot of fun to listen
Ooh.
to. And I want to say, I I feel like this is hard. This is hard to say, Don. I want to say this like the most like not take it the wrong way kind of way possible. On Wednesday Pack a Day, I think Dusty like gets a lot of spotlight because he can like dig into like some of the details and the knowledge around football. And I feel like at times we don't get to see as much like how much knowledge Sarah has as well, because she she really knows ball. And
Yeah.
listening to this podcast was a really good reminder, because like the number of like good takes she was firing off, the number of like insightful things she was saying, it's like, yeah, that's right, sarah
Yeah,
sarah really knows her stuff. And
she
so
does.
it was kind of like it gave her a chance to kind of like take more of the floor on that and take more of the lead, and it was really cool. So good reminder, Sarah knows what's up.
Sarah knows what's up, and yeah, I think she holds her own, and it's a different vibe though with them.
Mhm.
But yeah, she really is impressive with her knowledge.
Yeah,
She's
so smart.
so like I don't know if I'll ever know that much about football. The more, but every year it's like I know more than I did for
Yeah,
sure, for sure.
that's what matters. Keep
For a
learning.
while there, I mean, I was taking in so much, and I didn't look back. But every year now, the last couple of years that I look back, it's like, oh, I'm seeing so much more on the field. But thanks to Sarah and Dusty and all these folks that we're talking about. I mean, that's
Mhm.
what we love. So my last one is kind of fun and light. It's the most off topic. and this is a fun Mark Eccles, Reggie White story.
All right.
Did you hear about that?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I love his stories though. He has the best stories.
I know. I know. So this is also from Pack-A-Day. It's from their free agent and trade targets episode, which was, why I was listening to it. But he pulled up with this fun Reggie White story. Again, not going to give it away, not going to reveal, you go ahead and listen to them and hear that story. But it was delightful and interesting. Very interesting. Back in the day, I want to say, do you say like 1992? Is that possible? When Bart? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, not Bart. Favre was not Bart, not Star, but Favre. I like one syllable last names too. We had Star, Favre, Love. Yep.
Not naming the other guy, I realize.
Well, no, I mean it's not one syllable. That's all. I'm just saying I like the one syllables. Yeah.
Oh man. Okay. A little tangent about Aaron Rodgers. Okay.
Okay.
So, if you'll indulge me, earlier this week, Monty Moore posted just kind of like a comment on the ridiculous Aaron Rodgers podcast thing he did this week, and I just replied something like, "Man, so glad he's not a problem anymore." As I think when it was feel right, not a problem anymore. And then a guy who I don't know on Twitter, I can't remember who it was, unfortunately, kind of replied to me, said, what do you mean? He never was he's not your problem. He's not, what do you mean by your problem? I forget how he said it, but basically why would you say that? He's not your problem. He never was your problem. You know what I mean? And I was I just started thinking about it, well, what do I mean by our problem? Because I don't have to be his boss. I don't have to manage him. It's not really my problem. Not really. But I had to think about it. It's well, I guess what I mean by that, the better way to say it would be I'm glad I don't have to think about this. I'm glad I don't have to I'm glad I don't have to care about Aaron Rodgers stuff. That's what it is. I'm glad I don't have to care about it. He can go say crazy stuff and I don't have to be oh, this is our quarterback. And if people are talking to me about it, I almost have to defend him in a way, or just kind of try to explain it, or even talk about it, even just talk about it and know what's happening and be able to be up on this. I don't have to.
You don't have to.
I don't have to. We don't have to as a fan base. We can kind of laugh about it, but we don't have to actually listen to the silly 3-hour podcast that he did to get all the details, or hope that one of our brave content creators will actually listen to the whole thing and write an article on it, or it's just huh. Somebody else has to worry about that, and I don't have to care. Somebody else has to care about that, and it's
right.
So does that make it my problem?
No, I mean you could have not cared when he was on the team, I suppose, but when he's when we have a QB1 or any of our players, we want to get behind them and support them, and when they post their family pictures, we want to shower them with love and all that. So yeah, it's a choice. It's a choice. I didn't know anything about it. I did see something. So does he have his own podcast now?
No, he was on some rando podcast for 3 hours. It's behind a paywall, so it's not everyone has listened to it yet. I mean, I wouldn't pay to listen to it, but I guess the first hour is talking ball and kind of interesting. And then the next 2 hours, it just goes into just the weirdest conspiracy stuff. Just the,
oh no,
I saw a bulleted list of the topics that they talk about in the second and third hours of the podcast. And it's just oh no. Whoa. And I don't have to worry about it.
No, you don't have to listen. Yeah,
you have to care about it.
Not even. I think, not even curious. Not even curious, because we can choose what we want to be curious about. We don't have to be curious about things that are not worthy of our curiosity.
Let me just find real quickly
I can
find this pretty quickly. So
that's the little tweet I saw, something about that he said we should all be more curious, and it's okay, well, I've heard that from people for 15 years. It's not anything original or profound for one thing, but okay. But yeah, we can choose what we want to be curious.
Yeah,
there's a lot of things we can be curious. We can be curious about space and the planets, and we can be curious about all kinds of things. Right.
So just real quickly, because I did find the tweet, the guy had said to me, Why was it your problem before? That's what it was. So, but the list of like crazy topics, right, for the second and third hours, are you ready for this, Dawn?
Oh God.
Stuff that we don't have to care about, that Aaron Rodgers talked about
Or
on
be
his
curious
podcast,
about.
or be even curious about. He talked about election fraud, the real Anthony Fauci, germ theory versus terrain theory, the Great Awakening, U.S. border, weekend at Bernie's Joe Biden, Operation Northwoods, Operation Paperclip, Klaus Schwab, George Soros, Trump NYC fine, RFK, who Rogers is supporting, as I'm sure we know, the JFK assassination, Tartaria, Egyptology, Rockefeller influence on history and education, ancient giant trees, Tesla, Library of Alexandria, and much more.
And much more.
That's enough just to read the list. For me, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
That's something that I don't have to care about.
All curious.
And I love that. It makes me happy.
Oh, yeah. Somebody, what did I did a comment about a week ago. Now, what was it? I can't remember what it was, but so I can't say now. It was coming to me while you were talking, and then it's gone. It's there, and now it's gone. But it was. I made a snarky about him. But okay. It was. Oh, shoot. Now, I'm sorry. This is a podcast. I shouldn't be struggling like this. I'm sorry, everyone. This is not something I plan to talk about, though. I think it was Cowherd.
Mm-hmm.
It was a clip, and it was this guy who was going to write a book about Aaron Rodgers. And don't ask me why I was listening to it. It was probably just on one of these things. Sometimes YouTube will just start playing stuff, which I don't love. I don't
totally.
always love that. It's like, what? And so my hands were not free or whatever. And he said for the book, and I'm sorry, I don't remember the author's name, but he said for the book, he did speak with Aaron Rodgers. It's not like an official biography or anything, but he did interview him for a couple of hours. They talked. And he said to him, it wasn't a question. He said to Rodgers, if you wouldn't have said you were immunized, you wouldn't have, gotten in all that. Why did you say that? Why did you say that? Why did you say it that way? And I put in the comments that, and it just kind of dawned on me that he said that because he couldn't tell the truth. Like, he would have had to lie. He said he was allergic to some of the ingredients, which I was like, he said he was immunized because that was a lesser lie than saying he was allergic. Allergic, because to a certain degree, he wants people to like him and he doesn't want to lie. Right.
Yeah.
Which
he definitely wants people to like him. Yeah.
Oh God. And so I don't know why I blurted that out or commented, but I was just like, ugh, I didn't even want to be listening to it. Nobody snarked back at me, but that was kind of my feeling. But what I said was, my question would have been, why don't you just tell people it's none of their business? It's your health. It's your health. Like, it's none of your business. Because he wants to be liked.
He wants to be liked. Yep.
He'd rather lie than say that. That's what I think. Because the I'm immunized thing is kind of like, oh, come on. We all know what that was supposed to mean and whatever. I'm so over it. But I did say that. It's like, because he could have said it's none of your business. That's what I would have said. Like, if I were in that position, why do you want to know that? Why do you care about that? Next question.
Totally. Well, speaking of allergies, Brian mentions here in the chat, says, I'm allergic to work. Brian, I have a sick addiction to work. I have kind of the opposite than you, and it's sometimes I got to stop myself. But yeah,
that's how I was when in my career. I loved what I did. I would just work my little self off. Oh, Exotic Prairie, and hello. Question is, will the Chiefs sign Taylor Swift for another season? So are we actually asking, will their relationship still be intact?
Do the Chiefs front office have anything to say about it? Is there a conspiracy here? Is it Roger Goodell to go all the way to the top?
Let's get curious about this. Okay.
They're a cute couple, if they're
They're
happy.
cute. If they're happy, that would be great. My sister says I shouldn't tell you this.
Uh-oh.
She says Taylor's relationships don't last.
I mean, history says,
Right.
she's not saying it negatively, right? I'm assuming she's not. I don't know if she's criticizing or not, but it's just. I mean, it's a statement of fact.
So.
Yeah,
I don't think she's meaning it negatively. You could say that about me, I mean, easily. I mean, didn't want them to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't want them to, and maybe she won't, she'll move on. But I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. Whatever.
What do you think, Exotic? Do you think that they'll have her for another season? I don't have a problem with them. I don't. Yeah, I don't have. Yeah, they're very fun to watch and all that. I don't love Kelsey's style. Yeah, I
Sure.
remember, yeah, even last year, him saying things about the Cincinnati mayor when they were on. It was just kind of like, come on, just settle down. Settle down.
I mean, like, the Cincinnati mayor started it, to be clear, but
yeah,
I think Kelsey was not being very classy at all. And like, okay, maybe that's not his role to be classy, but he was not being classy about it at all. So I agree.
And also Patrick Mahomes said, "Oh, the Cincinnati mayor came at him." And Kelsey was just defending him. I heard that later, and I was like, "Came at you?"
Kind of. That's an overstatement, but it's also not entirely inaccurate.
I mean, can no one say anything? Like, it was kind of funny,
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, it was funny, and it's just at a funny sort of like, ribbing kind of a thing, and then Kelsey just got like, whoa, way too serious about it. So, yep.
Okay. So Exotic Prairie says, "I think she's in for a heartbreak." Oh, so you think
really?
Kelsey's
I think if anything, he'll be in for a heartbreak personally, but we'll see.
And she agrees about the Cincinnati mayor thing, I believe, that we were talking about. And then Brian says, "But will she write an entire she will definitely write an album."
Yeah. I look forward to that one. Her football
Why
era.
not?
Yeah, totally.
Why not? Why not? I think it'd be fun. I mean, be smart marketing.
Yep.
So yeah. And she's good at that. So well, awesome, Maddie. So we have a wonderful guest planned for next week.
Ooh, who we got?
Do we? We have Brennan Rupp.
Oh, that's gonna be good.
Yes. So next week we have Brennan Rupp, and we are so excited about every week that we're here because there's so much we love talking about, all the content that we consume. And there's just more than we could even do with our 3 superlatives each.
That's always true.
Yes. But it's really good just to chit chat with you and talk about football and talk about what we learned and all the other things going on in our life. And I enjoy this very much. So
me too, Dawn.
Yeah. Okay, Maddie, any final thoughts before we bring her home?
Oh gosh. I just think that, in order to keep seeing the draft class, the people in the draft class as people and not as stats, keep seeking out those stories about who they are, not just what their 40 times are, and not just what their, the measurables are, not just what their RAS scores are. Like, these are real people. And I think that, if people try to make the best effort to do that, it's going to make you really appreciate it even more. And just these are people. These are just people, man. They're walking the earth, they're eating food, they're using the bathroom, they're just they put their clothes on and off. They're just people making their way through the day. And let's get to know them. Let's get excited about them. And speaking of backstories and getting to know people, Brian also contributes here that we should check out. Whoa, we got a name here. Rook or Horhoro. I'm definitely mispronouncing the heck out of that because Brian says he has a cool backstory. I will check that out, Brian. And also, Ray Davis. That's a way easier to pronounce name. Thank you.
Ray,
Appreciate the second.
thank you.
And Ray Davis. So, yeah. And
No,
John, do you have any
and
final thoughts? Or?
well, I second that, because in consuming all this draft content, yes, a lot of that, their intangibles, their interviews, their personalities,
Mhm.
that's what's so interesting. And even, and I've mentioned this before, of course, even if they don't come to our team, we get to watch them go to another team and watch their careers, and have a little bit of insight as to who these people are, who these guys are, and that's really the funnest part as far as I'm
Mhm.
concerned.
Mhm.
Yeah, aside from the stats. They're super athletes. They wouldn't be there if they weren't super athletes. It's just
Yeah.
like one degree. And a lot of times it's that personality that could make or break whether they get a contract with the Green Bay Packers or not,
Yep.
because
They care
that's
about
very
high character
important.
guys. Yeah.
Yeah, yep, high characters. So awesome, Maddie. Well, let's bring her home. And thank you, audience, for being here with us. It's super
Yeah.
great to have a nice chat going.
Yeah. For the people who were here, and just, if you're taking the time to listen to this when it comes out on, podcasts, like, I can't even say thank you enough. I know that, like, I don't have enough time in the week to listen to all the stuff I want to. So if you've made the decision to listen to this, like, seriously, thank you.
Big thank you.
Big
Yes.
thank you. So anyhow, friends, we'd love to have a chance to interview you and shout you out if you're a subscriber and a football fan. And if you'd like to nominate someone to be a guest on our podcast, please let us know. Our DMs are open on all the social platforms. And folks, when you subscribe to our podcast, you help us to keep spreading the love in our community. And the best way to help this podcast grow is by sharing it with your friends and family.
Yes, Maddie, that's right, because we love you. We're so glad to know you, to be fans of you, and have the luxury of being fans of the most storied team in the NFL.
Mhm.
We appreciate your support, your subscriptions, and sharing our pod. And we look forward to seeing you next week on
Hey, we like your pod.
Football in general comes down to discipline and people owning their roles. And when you aren't disciplined or you go outside the scheme, bad stuff happens.